Hey, it's Huntsman with ArenaGaming. What's up, everyone? Now, today I will show you how to fuck shit up with Crank. You've seen how to fuck shit up with the Butcher by Final Hour. He did a nice little video, and today I will show you how to use Crank. So let's go over his info page. And Crank has 3 skills to choose from. His first skill is called Punch, deals 2 damage to an enemy target. His second skill called Shove knocks back an enemy champion and deals 2 damage, which is very useful if you want to knock someone off the platform into objects or tiles. And lastly, his last skill is called Ground Shaker, which knocks back all enemy champions and deals 2 damage to everyone around him. First off, if you want to play Crank like a boss, you need a good team comp. Now that team comp for me would be Aurora, Bug, and Crank, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Now the reason you need a good team comp is because Crank's movement range is so fucking shitty that you need some support to get him into that nice position to do a lot of damage and control the map. And we'll get into it right now. So here I am about to spawn my champions. Now placement is very important. Where do I want to spawn my Crank? Well, for me, since I told you what my team comp consists of, I like to play as Crank, Aurora, and Bug. Because of that, I like to spawn Crank right here on the bottom. Now there's a reason for this. Most of the time I play on the defense, just because I don't know why, I just find it kind of fun. I like to play on the defensive side and counter attack instead of trying to attack their ship. I just like to take out the enemy's champions. Now granted, it does not work all the time. I've done this strategy a few times on different players. Most of the time it does work and I do end up winning. There's a few times where it does fail, especially if they charge with more than 2 champions at a time. So if they have 2 champions rushing my ship and then the third one's kind of as their backup or in the middle, that kind of fucks me up then, because Bug doesn't do enough damage right away, and then I have to go even more on defense, and then I panic and stuff like that, and it just doesn't work out. I end up losing, and then I get pissed, and I take a hammer and bash my fucking computer in, and yeah, it just doesn't work out good. So placement wise, this is how I like to place my champions, except Bug. Usually Bug, I like to have him in the back, because a lot of people know the strategy with the Butcher where you want to put him on the human tile first, and then you just move him over to the side to the top tile, and you get a easy early harassment and you get a first kill. Very simple. Final Hour actually went over that strategy. I used to do that strategy all the time, worked 95% of the time, but not anymore. Too many people know about this now. Well, unfortunately I closed my game on accident, so here I am spawning the champions once again. And those of you that ask me or are wondering why do I like this team comp so much, experiencing a little bit of lag. Okay, so if you're wondering why I like this team comp so much, is because Aurora and Crank can control the sides very good. Now who do I need to control the middle? Well, that's fucking simple. I need Bug. Bug has a good reach and easy to poke around with him and do extra damage, and Aurora has the movement range to just finish them off. So that's me. That's why I like these 3 champions. I don't know why. It also works if you have Aurora, Crank, and Bloody Mary. That works just fine as well. I mean, let me know what you guys like. I'm still experimenting with different champions. For now, I've been playing more on the defensive side. I haven't really rushed too often yet, but this works pretty good for defense. So yeah, we'll go on to how to fuck shit up with Crank next. Alrighty, so how to play Crank? Well, first of all, you gotta be at the right place at the right time, and that goes for all the champions out there. But if you play smart, you can always be 1 step ahead of your opponent. So there really is no right or wrong way to playing Crank. However, there are 2 strategies that I would like to cover. First one is playing Crank on defense, and second one is playing Crank on offense, and I'll show you how that works. The defensive Crank. Now on this map, there's a few ways you can do this. First one is to put Crank behind the first stud. This gives you good control of the bottom right side and a little bit of the middle. Another way to do this is to put Crank in the middle if you do not want to keep him on the bottom. But be careful because you might get pulled in by the Butcher. So don't be that sucker and don't fall for it. But keeping Crank in the middle gives you great control of the center of the map. But it is a little bit of a risk. And lastly, the third position I would put Crank would be right here on the top behind the stud. This will give you good control of the top left and a pretty decent control of the middle. And I'm not gonna lie, you can control the middle of this position very nicely, but it takes a little bit of turns to get up here. So you definitely need to give him some support to get into that position. And I would say this is more of an offensive strategy than a defensive, but still, same shit. On the second up, I like to keep Crank right in the middle. That means you got to push him out ASAP. But If you get him to this place right behind the second stud, you will have phenomenal control of the bottom right and a portion of the center. Now in order to get him there, I recommend you get some support such as Harlequin or whoever else you like to play as. This way you are guaranteed to get into that position. Give it a try, guys. I promise you, you won't fail. This is the ultimate position to be in with Crank. Now, if for some reason you do not want to put Crank behind the second stud, as I previously mentioned, to gain that amazing control, then whatever, dude. But you can place Crank on the top left right behind the first stud. This will give you good control of the top side and a portion of the middle side. However, your control of the map will not be as strong as it should be. Alright guys, so that's it for defensive Crank. Now before we move on to offense, I want to give you one last tip. Now my one last tip is to use Bug and Crank at the same time. We already know you have Crank on the bottom, controlling it the whole right side and the top center. But what you don't know is you want to spawn Bug on the top behind the first stud. This will give you awesome control over the top left and the center portion of the map. And what does this mean? Well, this means that you have Bug and Crank controlling both sides of the map. And what does this mean? This means that you are dominating the map, guys. And all you need is either Harlequin or just someone else to pick off the enemy champions and you're done. Listen up. Do it, guys. Do it. I'm telling you, you will not fail. Alright, let's move on to offense. The offensive Crank. Alright, so playing offense with Crank is pretty easy. There's about one strategy that I like to do, and that is to keep Crank right in the middle. Put him on the ship tile. This gives you overall the best control wherever they spawn. As you see, Crank spawn right next to me. That means I could easily step over and hit him, or even step back diagonally and hit him off the edge. So if you ever find yourself in a position where you don't know what to do, just get him to the ship tile. Obviously, he will need some support in order to get there and in order to keep him there, but if you're going to stay there, you will dominate them. Every champion that spawns will just get obliterated. Trust me, guys. So that's about it for the first map. On the second map, it's a little bit more difficult, just like everything else is, because there's a skull tile in the middle and it limits you from going into godlike mode and shitting on everything around you. Now, because of that, I like to put Crank right here on the human tile first, because this gives me an extra edge by doing extra damage to whoever crosses his path, and I could easily knock opponents off the map or into the studs, and it works like a fucking Bugatti. I don't know what I'm saying, but whatever. And you don't want to rush in with Crank, because if they have a butcher, they could easily pull you into the skull tile, and you don't want to sacrifice him, unless if you do, then that's kind of stupid, because you do not want to lose him. Okay. So that's about all you gotta know for this map. This is where I keep him. I don't push any farther than this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time.